Sure, I'm Kevin Krueger. I've lived in Kamloops since 1988 with my family. I have 3 children, and 2 of them are married, and there are 7 grandchildren that my wife and I enjoy to the max. I've had a couple of careers. I worked for ICBC for nominally over 40 years, but I took a leave without pay for 17 years because I was elected as an MLA. And in that career, I held 5 different cabinet portfolios. I've watched Kamloops grow tremendously. I had a part in bringing university status here, bringing the law school here. Worked with some wonderful people in local government, and we joined forces and got a lot of things created, and always driving for quality of life for the people of Kamloops. So I've been a Christian all my life, and God is a huge part of my life, and I try to live my life in a way that would please Him, meaning be good to people. Well, I've had the provincial experience, and people kind of chuckle and say you did it backwards. You know, a lot of people run for local government and then, you know, aspire to provincial or federal. That's not the way the opportunities came along for me. But I have really enjoyed working with constituents and solving issues for the communities that I represented. Used to be lots of them. And now I'm happy to focus on Kamloops and our neighbors. But I didn't want to be a full-time elected guy anymore because I didn't want to miss more time than I had to with those 7 grandkids. Life goes by very quickly. I think it is ensuring that whatever age a person is in the spectrum of the population, that they feel as though they have excellent quality of life and opportunities to do the things that they want to. For children, of course, it's having fun and growing up and being safe. For older young people, students, it's helping make sure that they see many, many avenues of what they could do in their lives and helping them get there. It's being a welcoming community and a safe community and a community that cares. I think Kamloops is already wonderful for that. Great volunteer spirit here. Double the subscription to volunteer opportunities for a lot of the big events that we actually need by quota, but it's so great to have that spirit. And we've seen it all this year with the tremendous wildfire challenge and all the volunteerism. Well, a lot of us who've had the opportunity to be in leadership positions have been working hard on that. British Columbia, over the years I was an MLA, was only generating 1.1 children per family unit. So we always knew that the way to grow would be to attract people who were immigrating here for a better life. I think the international student program at TRU has been and continues to be excellent for that. It's brought a lot of wonderful people here who've decided to stay. I hear the numbers over 1,700 this year, and that's just great because our British Columbian population is not reproducing itself, and the only way for the city to grow is to attract people here, and you do that by making sure it's the kind of place they want to stay and enjoy. I've done quite a bit of that, and it depends on their age and what they're looking for and what they seem to enjoy. We had a real determined campaign to attract doctors here. We had been told by the doctors before my party, the BC Liberal Party, was elected to government that there were certain things that doctors were looking for when they choose a city, and there only are 3 cities of this size approximately in the whole interior of British Columbia. Doctors, when they did come, I would thank specialists for arriving here, making Kamloops their choice, and they'd say, why wouldn't we choose Kamloops? It's got everything we look for in a big city. It's got a wonderful university, all the sports facilities, the arts community is thriving, you know, museum, art gallery, theater company, symphony orchestra, all of those things. You have all these things we look for in a big city, but none of the things that we fear. Your crime rate's very low. You could hardly ever complain about the traffic in Kamloops. Doctors couldn't believe they never had to sit through a second red light unless there's been an accident or something like that. But we were always looking to remove any barriers to people choosing Kamloops and make sure they understand what's here. So we kind of had tours in mind according to how much time they had. You want to make sure they see the parks, the recreation facilities, the river, all the beauty of Kamloops, the views, but also that they see state-of-the-art water and sewer treatment facilities, see the university itself. We have, I think, the nicest downtown of any city this size in the interior of British Columbia. It's so well laid out. We have a great transportation system that was laid out by visionaries, and it didn't hurt that we had Phil Ghilardi, the transportation minister in the W.A.C. Bennett years, because we've got these wonderful four-lane highways in and out of every valley, and of course we're at the confluence of valleys, and if we had just two-lane roads, it wouldn't be near as good. The city's also been planned for orderly growth, but there are a lot of different types of housing that you can live in because of the way it's been laid out. So we're all building on the hard work and successes and talent and skills and imagination of the people that came before us, and I want to be a part of that as we go forward, making sure, as I think I mentioned earlier, that every demographic feels safe here, supported here, welcomed here, and as if they have opportunities of all kinds to choose from. A lot of people don't choose to retire when they're 65 or anywhere close to it anymore. Other people still think of Freedom 55 and so on. Depends on your health and what you enjoy, and whether your career is something that you want to continue with, or whether you want to branch off into something else. And again, the university is wonderful for helping people retool if they want to and go off in a new direction. We do have a lot of options. I think it is wonderful to see a city develop the way downtown Vancouver has, where, and that was Gordon Campbell's genius, where you can actually walk to work in a lot of occupations. You can walk almost everywhere you want to go and hop on some public transportation very easily if you want to go further. I'd like to see us expand our network of safe bicycling and walking trails and so on, and again make them safe for all ages, and really plan for people's personal safety and their well-being. So you can get help if you need it when you're engaging in any of those activities. You can exercise strenuously without the fear of colliding with someone who isn't. There's a lot of good planning that has gone on in this city and all around it. So showing people around the community, I'd want to focus on that sort of thing. Are they looking for outdoor recreation, indoor recreation, simply the opportunity to enjoy the city the way it is and the nature that surrounds us? We have, I think it's 100 trout fishing lakes within a 40-kilometer circle of Kamloops, and a lot of people find that a fabulous thing. So whatever gives people happiness, gives them quality of life, always with a view to making sure we have safe places for seniors, and we have an organization within the city, between the university, the city, and all our assets, that can watch out for seniors and make sure that they stay safe and secure in their homes as long as possible. That's the best medicine for teachers to be able, for seniors to be able to, well, senior teachers to be able to stay in the place that they've lived. Well, when we talk about growth, and we've talked about how we're managing to do it, which is bringing new people here, that'll continue to be a challenge. Recently I've heard that the RCMP are really getting stretched trying to look after all of the things they're presented with, and they're pleading for some more partners within the community in general, because a lot of the things that they're called in to deal with are things that local citizenry could probably be organized better to help with. There are problems with people who aren't really responsible for their problems, and some of the solutions that have been come up with, a special car that brings a social worker, Mountie if necessary, but possibly a medical person instead, and just comes alongside people. Many people that we call homeless are actually quite well known to the folks downtown. People know what their needs are. People know how to deal with them respectfully and gently and help them get to a safe place and not frighten others. So I think that we'll really have to all apply our minds and our talents to making sure that people are dealt with fairly, gently, and also that people who are just going about their day-to-day business don't feel frightened to be in any part of town. We've got to watch that no subdivision or community within Kamloops becomes underprivileged and kind of ghettoized, and I've been hearing about some of that from communities where they're just having more trouble with lawless behavior than the rest of us are. So I think council needs to really apply its mind, its collective mind, and people's own minds to making sure we're always driving to make this a happier place to live. It's pretty happy, and it has been the whole time I've lived here, but you know, when you hear the RCMP appealing for help, then it's time to sit up and take notice and strategize. What can we do differently? We've got wonderful people coming through social work programs here at the university all the time. There are no doubt lots of options for practicums, and not just in that area either. We've got a law school now, we've got a lot of medical disciplines, and we can bring all of that to bear and keep building a stronger and even better community. Well, we got a lot to offer, and that's well known. People come here specifically for the quality of life. We have a lot of medical specialists who come here as a married couple, and they're kind of job sharing because they don't want to work, you know, the 80 hours a week that doctors used to work. And when two doctors are married to each other, then they can support one another at work while the other one's doing those sorts of activities, or obviously do some of them together. But I think we'll always be able to market Kamloops, if that's the correct term to use, to people considering where they want to live as one of the three largest centers of the interior, where really pretty much all the amenities are present, yet where the quality of life is really, really high, and people can have as much as they want of private time and tranquility, or as much as they want of social stimulation and, you know, the arts and all the athletic activities, things that people can do here. The Tournament Capital of Canada theme has been wonderful for us because we bring a lot of exciting things to town. The local population can enjoy them. It brings economic activity and support for our businesses. Things like the Rocky Mountaineer didn't happen by accident over the years. People went after those opportunities, persuading entrepreneurs that this would be a really good place to locate. And that has worked out beautifully because the Rocky Mountaineer keeps the hotels and motels busy in the summer, and the students keep them busy in the winter. And of course, more and more, both of them want to be year-round, so does Sun Peaks. But initially, it was usually students in the winter and tourists in the summer, and now we have both all the time, which is great. When I decided to run provincially, we'd come here in 1988, and Kamloops was still in the 1981 recession. It was longer coming out of the recession than most places in British Columbia. I ran eventually in 1996 for the first time. And British Columbia's entire economy was in the doldrums. In fact, you had to go to Chiapas, Mexico to find another local area, provincial type area that was doing as badly economically as British Columbia was. And we did a lot of brainstorming to determine how to rise from that. And we did a change in how government organized the province, less of an emphasis on taxation, in fact diminished taxation, and more of an emphasis on catching up on things. We hadn't had a single new seniors residence not one room, not one bed built in 10 years in Kamloops, in this whole Thompson Health region. So we had a lot of catching up to do, because when people aren't aging in a place that's healthy for them, their lives go into decline much more easily and worse than they would have otherwise. So we went to work on that, on upgrading Royal Inland Hospital, on acquiring a full-fledged university. And it was component by component. A lot of people, mayors, councils, and the MLAs collaborating, members of parliament. And it's just come a long way. And I hear that from a lot of people as I bump into them shopping or recreating, whatever we're doing around town. So I don't think it's any one thing, but if I had to choose one, it would be Thompson Rivers University. I got a lot of resistance. I was an opposition MLA. I was persuading a leader of the opposition, who everyone expected to become premier, that this ought to be a full-fledged university. And Gordon Campbell had thought a lot about all of these things. He grew up in Vancouver. His dad was the Associate Dean of Medicine at UBC. And there was concern at first that if we moved to a full-fledged university, then people's emphasis would be on other things than some of the things that University College of the Cariboo was thriving at, including technology and trades and all of those things. And there might be a shift away from that. But we worked through all of that, and then this model worked so well. A special purpose teaching university is what we mandated when we first created, actually, what became Thompson Rivers University. But then it was expanded around the province. I had made the case to Mr. Campbell that we ought to be able to educate doctors in places like Kamloops, so that they don't go away to Vancouver and never come back because they marry somebody who lives there already, who doesn't want to leave. And he was receptive to that, but then he chose Kelowna, Prince George, and Victoria for the medical schools. So we just pivoted and went after a law school and got the first new law school in Canada in 35 years. So I tend to always come back to TRU when I think about what are some of the greatest things that have happened here. But there's been a lot of other things too. That great focus on sports, on tournaments, and all of those things. In the meantime, we're building to attract tournaments, but those facilities are all there for everyone who lives here year-round.